Hi, here we're going to be making a concrete tabletop. It's going to be for the table challenge that Izzy Swan's doing for the Toolmasters Association. There's going to be a part two when I actually build the base of the table. Here I'm just cutting the melamine to size to make the form for the concrete. The finished table will be 16 by 22. Here I'm ripping some 2.5 inch wide pieces that will make up the sides of the concrete form. Real exciting stuff here. They're just chopping them to length. I'm just cutting 2 at a time because it's faster. It's not really precision work because everything's going to get ground later and it won't be an exact dimension to the 16th around. Here I'm pre-drilling the holes, throwing in some drywall screws just to hold it together. This was getting kind of long. Later on, I ripped some PVC cove, ripped off the flat spots to give me a nice inside radius. And when I sketched the outside of the form earlier, that was just to give me where to pre-drill from the bottom. That's why this is going so easy. I eliminated that to save some time. But the inside cove will put a nice radius on the corners. You'll see it when I'm silicone caulking here shortly. But it was just ripping, a tab off. It wasn't all that exciting, so I eliminated it. And there's the cove. Yeah, I put it on the inside corners also, not just down at the bottom. I siliconed it. It fills the gap in to keep leak out, and also it makes it come off easier because it's not seasoned in by rolling in underneath the seams and everything. Here I got some 3/8 steel rod. I just chopped it and I'm just tacking it together in a square form. This will get dropped down into the concrete. Here are the upright pins I actually ground so that it'd weld a lot easier. I cheated on the corners, but everything will get tied in at the end, and I'll Y brush it to get rid of all the rust. And here's where I really tied it together. Cut some 3/16 rod stock too. That'll give me some more reinforcement. Although I did use 6500 psi fiber reinforced concrete. It's not really a countertop mix, but this isn't a countertop and it was readily available. So I just somewhat evenly spaced it out across there. Tacked it first, then welded it a lot better. It doesn't have to be pretty as long as it's secure. Here I purchased a 5-gallon bucket of scrap stained glass off a local stained glass company, and I picked through the colors that I liked, and I snapped it into pieces that I liked the size of. Here I dumped half of the bag of the concrete in and let it blow off. And I'm going to dump half a bag of charcoal dye in. The suggested mix is half a whole bag to a whole bag. At this point, I wish I had gone with a full bag in to make it darker. Started mixing by hand, but gave up, dumped the glass in, and just started dumping bucket to bucket to make it go quicker and not get so slopped up. So I dumped in about half of the glass mixture in, stuck the steel frame in, Stuck the rest in on top of it. At this point, there's a couple clumps there I just finished mixing in, but at this point the table saw is running with the blade down. You might be able to see some small bubbles coming up. That's vibrating it for me, so I don't have to do any of the other ideas you've probably seen on other videos. I noticed the one side was slightly out of level, a little larger gap, so I slid a shim in to get it so that it looked level in the form. Just doing it by eye. Final check of the measurements. Here, I think it was 4 or 5 days later, I stripped the form off. Grabbed the grinder, cut the rods off. They're eventually just going to drop into the table legs, which will be made in the next part. Just buzzed off the sharp corners. Here I tried using a plastic bag, keep dry, which basically ended up having me tripping over everything. Here I'm using diamond cup wheel just to knock the cream off. I went and found a regular rain suit set of pants and threw those on, and now I'm using diamond pads. They start at 50 grit and go up to 800 grit. I'm going to show you a picture of what it looks like now. I am going to go back and do a final polish for the final part 2. You can see it later with the final polish, but this is how it looks now.